Auditors?
Someone here to represent the auditor?
Aye.
Someone online?
Okay, well, we can see that into a supplemental pay.
Dave, do you have anything in this contract?
I'd like to hold off on that. Looks like a supplemental pay would be an increase to salary. I think the timing is poor, so I'm just requesting no action.
Coroner's office?
Transfer,
Yeah, this is just our kind of normal course of action here. Nothing spectacular.
Yeah, new table and some lights and equipment for,
St. John's.
Sounded morbid when you just said that, it was just sounds so morbid, you know? We kind of what they do, right?
reality.
I'm sure on number 8, it's the same.
Councilman Ham, criminal courts.
And support transfer.
Councilman Lindemalder, property extension. Short and longevity.
I'm sure Pete's business.
Yeah.
Plan commission, I saw the.
Yeah, I was at the planning commission meeting for that. That is the, what it is it's a battery storage facility, that will buy power from the grid, however it's produced, and store it in batteries to be used when needed. You're seing a lot of these all over the country as a way to beef up the grid without the infrastructure. So it's buying energy when it's being produced and inserting it when it's not being produced. So it has gone through all the vetting for quite some time. All the public safety and environmental issues have been addressed and questions answered. So this one's been beat to death, and it had a 9-0 unanimous recommendation.
So for prevention for fires is taken care of.
Yes, all of that was fully vetted.
Lake County Sheriff.
Morning.
Morning.
In regards to the money based on, we're seeing this time of the year, okay.
Morning, we're trying to shore everything up to make sure we get through the end of the year. As of right now, projecting right on target on overtime, but it's gonna be close. We don't want to run short, so we'd like to move a little bit of surplus into overtime, so we're good to go for the rest of the year. Same with petroleum, same story, we're really close. It looks like we're gonna be okay. We don't want to run out at the last minute, so we want to move a little bit of surplus from there. And as far as dues and subscriptions, this year we had to upgrade the internet capacity of the sheriff's department, increase our budget by about 2,000. So we need to move some money from the surplus that we had from telephone and a little bit of maintenance and service to cover that new cost for the upgraded internet. So that's the three transfers.
Did I hear that some of our officers were injured or no? Maybe different county?
It was Maryville.
Oh, that was Maryville. All right, any questions?
Question. Sure. How was the surplus created in these various line items?
As far as like protective services, that was due to just vacancies throughout the year where their officers weren't hired yet, but their positions are still fully funded. So that's why there's a $40,000 surplus there. As far as the garage and motors, we anticipate the best we can what we're going to need for repairs, but we had a little bit better of a year than we did, than we anticipated. So there's a little bit extra in the garage. Same with telephone. We ended up switching a whole telephone service over, and the savings has been a little bit more than we thought they were going to be. And that's about it.
The reason I'm going to be asking a lot of these questions going forward, because if you look at what's coming down the pike from the election process here in Indiana, there is talk of a 2 to 3% cap on levy growth, talk of reverting property values, assessed values back to pre-COVID levels. So we could see some real tightening on the revenue side of this. So if we're going to be experiencing surplus or having positions that are budgeted for not filled.
Scott, on a monthly basis, and Bill's talking to him directly, we're really moving and doing our best to moving more and more toward a zero-based budget. And this is something we started just about 2 years ago, and we see it's significant areas that we can cut. So we can ask for what we need, not putting any extra anywhere. But again, the overtime, that's always a wild card, especially impacted by the jail. A lot of this overtime you see is in different areas. Good amount of it is specifically to support the jail. We have our office that is specifically trained and certified to work in the jail. So now a lot of our offices get the shortfall so large there. We've really put a lot of overtime in. But again, this is something that we're constantly working on. And we want you to be confident. We come to you with a number for a budget, that this is what we are doing our best to forecast. These are our needs. We're not trying to pad it or surplus any of those folks.
I appreciate that. The reason I asked those questions is just looking at what the agenda is in this next legislative session. Things could get pretty interesting over the next couple of years as we make adjustments to adjust to that kind of new way of doing business here in Indiana. So not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that we're going to have to figure out how to still properly fund our services in a little bit more of a, you said, a zero-based fashion, and do what we need and not what we want.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
that mean the state's gonna be returning, or that surplus budget they have to us as taxpayers?
I don't know that, I'm just
That would
saying,
be great. That means they overtaxed us, right?
But I'm reading-
Sort of a refund.
what I'm reading on property taxes is, things are gonna get interesting. Morning. From the jail, I have 4 line items that I'm seeking transfers into various line items above. Many small amounts to get to where I need to be. With overtime, I'm looking at 30,000 in, and that's, of course, due to staff. I've talked about several times this year. Our current staffing is at 166 short. I lost 2 to the sheriff's department, which is a bonus for the sheriff's department overall. And I do have a last group here for December that I'm looking at hiring approximately 5. And then your part-time, I'm looking to move 15,000 in. That was due to an increase in pay for part-time positions from $15 an hour to $18 an hour, which did help us because we were able to maintain our part-time. But that did cost us. Healthcare and lab supplies is the major one. Last year, we were trending around 80,000 a month for that. This year, we're trending about 150 and up. A lot of that is due to the population increase. HIV meds went from an average of 5 last year to 15 this year, which are very expensive medications. We also have several inmates that have had several weekly dialysis runs we have to make, as well as transfers to say Chicago or Indianapolis that can't handle care locally. So that caused that exponential increase that we have budgeted for next year. That was looked at very closely, but it was an unexpected hit this year. And then the last one is food and lodging, looking to move 20,000 into that. That's for summer services. Earlier in the year, we had issues with the dishwasher machine going down or not having enough inmate workers clean the trays in a quick fashion. So styrofoam to feed the population, which made an increase in my cost. To alleviate that, in the middle of the year, we use twice as many trays so that we don't have to depend on a quick turnaround on the trays. That has brought it down to around 3,000 a month for styro use to about 1,000. Still have to maintain for the segregation population as well as medical.
Any questions?
Yes, questions, same thing. What created the available surpluses that's allowing these transfers to take place? Well, through our earlier budget meetings throughout the year, especially planning for 2025, we were looking at the trends. So I pulled back for a lot of the stuff that normally we would buy. If you look at office supplies, that's one that generally you really can put a tight grip on the use of paper, ordering pens, and other supplies that we need. Jail inmate clothing, just good care on that, good tracking, good searches to make sure we're getting all of our property back, tighten down on that in the jail. Other supplies, the medical deductibles is always there. Legal services was always there. Employment testing, unfortunately, I wish I didn't have a surplus there. But I can't get the applicants in to actually spend that to what we're budgeted for. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, animal control,
Oh, yes.
the shelter. So there was a vacancy in officials as administrator for home for the year. Part of what we were doing to pick up the slack there was using part-time and seasonal. So we're just basically taking that surplus that's in officials and administrators and overtime and to shore up the part-time and seasonal. So we just moved for our payroll.
Was that a person that you tried to hire, you couldn't hire into that position? How did that?
We're gonna get budgeting assistant director. This is a sidebar, see what some of these recent public safety issues come up. We're going to bring in work full capacity. Our staff is really, that's why part-time has been so important to us. Dog, 7 days a week, you have to be taking care of. So,
I spoke with some of the staff there throughout the summer, and all the COVID dogs that people access. we've now dropped off. My goodness, it's what an overburden and overflow. That's a tough situation there.
That's I keep bumping into it.
So these are shortages. The transfers are to cover the shortages for the
Correct.
Your anticipated shifts.
anticipation.
Well, one of them is, sure, the part-time needs to be replaced, but the seasonal is anticipated to cover all of it.
Right, any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Juvenile Detention Center?
Morning. Here to one of the ordinance, an ordinance creating the Lake County Superior Court Juvenile Division, Juvenile Mental Health Problem Solving Court Grant Fund, time and board employments, one not grant.
Any questions from you? Thank you. Thank you. Looking for two readings, right? You're looking for two readings. You want it passed? Okay. Okay, prosecutor.
Morning.
Jacob.
Just have two transfers. The first one is into longevity. When I submitted the budget last year, just forgot to bump someone up to the next bracket. So that's to cover the shortfall there. And then the other one is for postage, just in case we do get an invoice from the mailroom before the end of the year.
What created the reduction in paraprofessionals?
We've had several vacancies throughout the year. A few of them were throughout the entire year, and then we had lost, I think, three, since about July. I did work with Scott during this budget, where I think we're eliminating 5 positions for next year.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Counts?
I have not had the opportunity to touch base with John Marshall on this, but I will get some details on these transfers in the appropriation. I know that he has been ramping up the activity level there at the fairgrounds, as we discussed halfway through this year. So I know that's part of the part-time needs from an appropriation standpoint, but that's a non-reverting fund. What the transfers, I will get some details on that.
Parks and Recreation.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
We got a few items here. The first one being a resolution that was passed at the park board meeting. This is a temporary loan that is available to us in the coming year. We've done this for many, many years. We haven't had to do it, we haven't had to take it in a long time. When Jim and I started in these positions, we were finishing up the year and had very little money left over to begin the next year. And our operations don't generally start until February, March, and we're ramping up at that point. And if we didn't have tax money coming in or any kind of surplus, we would be in trouble. And this would allow us to borrow from some of our other funds within the park department. Have to pay them back by the end of the year. So really no impact other than on us. But that's what we're asking for today. And this is for the year 25. That's the first.
So the part of that that's the bond funds, are those in any way restricted to certain capital expenditures, or can they be used for operations?
They can, when we do those, when we go after those bonds, we have specific projects in mind that we present to everyone. But those change based on what the land, if we get any land available or things like that, we're able to pivot a little bit and use them in that situation. They're not being used up. If we had to borrow, they would not be used up. We would have to pay them back. And these are we've done most of the projects that came out of these bonds. I think there's still a few out there, but nothing that's a priority that wouldn't be impacted. The big thing is we probably can redo this for next year. I don't know that we need that amount. We haven't traditionally. We've been able to carry over a couple hundred, 100,000, 150,000, or I'm sorry, $1.5 million as we come into the new year. And that's been we've been very conservative trying to make sure that we do that because we know we're gonna have expenses early before we get any kind of income or revenue. So that's the situation.
It's a safeguard.
It is, yeah.
I talked with Jim about this too. He was detailed in his explanation. I just had some questions on what the scope of use within those bond funds could be, if it could be operational or it had to remain.
As far as I know, it could be operation as well.
Thank you.
Next item?
Next we have, Jane wants to talk about these, but these are the, we're going after a few grants. The first one is from Noah, I believe. And yeah, that's correct. And this is, let's see here. Yeah, this one is to acquire some property along the Savannah Trail to help us with some drainage. That's the first one. And I can get detailed and read through some of these. I don't know that that's necessary unless you have questions
Do you have questions for any of these?
on these bonds.
Some are matching grants.
There, yeah, some of them require 50% match, which we're gonna reach out to other organizations
Okay,
and partners. No money will end up, Craig's very good about getting us to the point where, we go after these grants and they might have a 50% match, but then we have partners like, on the Lake Hills side, the one we're going after there, Sherrville is gonna be our partner, Sherrville Parks.
any questions from the council? All right, thank you. See
Thanks very much. We'll see you Tuesday.
you Tuesday.
Very good.
Emergency management? We took care of your, do you have anything you want to add?
Questions?
I might not be able to. That's why I wanted
Okay.
to answer any questions.
So I'll ask you the same question I've been asking other people on transfers. What created the surplus in the line item we're transferring from?
Well, towards the end of the first quarter this year, I lost my chief investigator. I have not had a lot. And there were a couple other positions. So they're professionals. That's it.
How much equipment are you purchasing?
This, yeah, the bariatric autopsy table is going to complete our investment in the pathology department. This is number 3 of 3 tables. So your council, you folks helped us at the end of last year, replace 2. This is the third one, 3. The lighting is very expensive. This original lighting, it's 25 years old. And it pretty much is obsolete, bulbs, things like that. This would definitely help the bath team with the new lighting. The refrigeration, refrigerator is just kind of on the blank and just sweeping it as well. So those are the 3 items. And the lighting and the autopsy table pretty much complete the reinvestment in the pathology department. Okay. So,
Thank you. I appreciate you.
yeah. Sorry I'm late and, I said I might be able to attend the public. Okay, so
Thank you.
have a great holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Back to the agenda, emergency management. Grant.
Happy holidays, everybody.
There you go. Happy holidays.
So this is a $5,000 grant from NIPSCO that we're going to use for training for both our CERT team and the Lake County COAD. NIPSCO's been very good to us, and I hopefully they'll continue to be.
Any questions? Councilman Meyer? Okay,
Nothing there.
thank you. Okay, thank you. Commissioner, Lake County 911. Good morning.
I stood before you in October, and we had some very frank conversations about our staffing. The name of those transfers on the agenda for the commissioners next week is the assistance in supplanting some of our staff temporarily. We put out a survey to our staff, and one of the main things that they had a concern with was work-life balance. Working a tremendous amount of hours. Talked about that in October.
The what I'm sorry.
Work-life balance, they're working a tremendous amount. And one of the things we continue to have individuals in our training program, we continue to interview, hire. Isn't always working out, but we're hopeful that 6 that we have currently on the floor will be released this week. We have another 7 in training right now as it sits. We hope to have out on the floor and start learning that phase of the job at the end of next week. So we're being very proactive, but this would be supplanting 12 of our employees temporarily for the next 6 months. So to answer the question you're already going to ask, where did the surplus come from, is
Yours actually, it's just simply because you haven't been able to hire people.
correct. It is out of our insurance fund that we can't hire. The thing is, we continue to hire people, but there's that 3-month gap before somebody can obtain insurance. So if an individual isn't working out, we're continuing to hire, but we're reducing that fund in any way, shape, or form for those individuals that aren't able to stay for at least 3 months. I'm going to project that out for next year to help supplant the rest of the cost for this endeavor based on the quarter of our staff that isn't there, plus the quarter of that year. And Scott and I have worked tremendously about making sure that we are not in a very large surplus in any way, shape, or form. I understand that. I believe that as well. And then the other portion of that transfer is going to be just to upgrade our training facility. Our training facility we're 10 years old now. It's hard to believe we're 10 years in existence, but some of those pieces of equipment are starting to fail. And if we need to be as, for lack of better terms, like I say, agile as possible on our training, we need to make sure all that equipment works, and it's just not functioning.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Questions? Thank you. No,
Apologies.
thank you. Health Department? Right now.
Gonna switch. The front part, right?
21B.
Okay, trying to create a position in our first Indiana budget. As we go along and develop this, find more need, how we're going to spend that money. And when we took the Health First Indiana money, it was agreed that the other grants that we had with the state, we wouldn't get anymore, like the tobacco settlement and the public health maintenance. And the projects that were being operated with that money were not in the Health First Indiana budget. So there's a position we want to create as part of the job that we used to do in the tobacco settlement budget with the immunization recalls. So we want to move that position over. We want to make it a full-time position because we found some other needs within my program. We could use this certified medical assistant. So that's basically what we're trying to do. We've got a person in-house that's been working for us for at least 3 years doing this type of thing, throwing gloves, and she's really good at it. All the nurses are kind of trained to do it, but I think you all know the difference in how people can do that. And this person is really good. We like to keep her, and have her start doing that part of the job and make it into a full-time position.
Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, can be directed to Scott. Can we do that this year? Or do we have to wait until next year? I was waiting for January. That's what I thought.
Or just do it again in January.
I'll do it again.
Or you approve it now and fill it in January.
It's not in the 25 budget.
Right.
Is the fund going to support the insurance costs for the full-time employee? Does it cover the insurance?
There's enough money in that budget now because we have a lot of vacancies we can fill yet.
Right.
So I have plenty of line items to cover this position.
Yes, Councilman.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna, by piggybacking the same thing you might have been thinking is, big vote if you want to do this, but we'll have to put it back on the agenda in January, or we go retro to December, put it in the January agenda, do it, go retro to December.
What's the urgency of making it part-time to full-time right now? I mean, I think that's the question. Is there,
Just to get this thing moving along.
But can it be filled? Scott, can it be filled this year being?
We,
yeah.
if you created this, I mean, it's up to them. Can they fill it? They already have some, but you just have to recreate the position.
You just have to do it again in January.
Or we can do it in January if the person would be okay, and if we submit it in January, do it retro to December 1st of whatever date you want it back to. Okay, I'm not on the committee.
Yeah, try,
So whatever you guys-
Councilman Brown, I would reach to Councilman Brown, work with him and see what your preference would be, just.
I think you got the support, it's just, how do we do it twice, or we just do it in January, do it once, that's it.
Nick, are you finding that with that infusion of money from the Health First Indiana Fund that you're having a hard time filling some of those positions and even contractor positions? How's the progress on that?
Now it's evolving. This is new for us. And it's hard to find partners, contractors, that can do some of this stuff for us in the interim, or maybe instead of. So first of all, we have to get out there or find people that are doing things that we would like to do, now that we have the funding to do it. So we're developing on our website so people can see this type of thing and know if they're providing this type of service already, they can maybe expand if they had extra funding too. So we can transfer our funding to them through a contract, get some of these needs fulfilled. So, you know, just going to take time.
With some of these openings, are you finding it hard to reach those measurables that the state required? This
Well,
fund or
the state knows it's a building process too. I mean, it's not just us, it's every local health department. We're all starting new with things here. And now they're starting to expand the reporting. As we get more to report, now we can report in there. So it's just a building process.
Yeah, we're a year into this thing, and I just didn't know how that was progressing, so thank you for sharing the information.
Anything else? We'll be at the meeting Tuesday?
I can't pay attention.
Oh, you're not.
But it sounds like it's not going to be carried over to next year anyway. So
It depends on the chairman, his wishes.
I'll get a hold of Charlie.
Yeah. And
Whatever-
let's
whatever
talk
you
about
want.
it all.
Let me take one more question, not that. Dale, why wasn't this put into the budget? It's budget request.
Because the budget was turned in July. And we just started to put this together now. We've been playing with it. Like I said, other programs have been coming on board, like our lead analysis. And we do a lot of blood drawing with that, but we just got the person to do that program in. So that program's getting off the ground. We're trying to figure out all the details of how to make it work. And the TV program, we're just getting that started too now. And there's been a lot of blood drawing there. They've changed the way you do a TB test now. It's not just a line test or a stick. It's actually a blood draw. So there's going to be a lot more blood drawing with the programs we're starting to have in our health department.
Okay, very good. Economic development,
Morning.
Marty.
Many moons ago, the community block grant funds were created and had two funds, 172 and 174. Split the money, social services, projects and so on. And this last round of State Board of Accounts review, there's been some issues. Things like if somebody does a rehab and they decide they want to sell the home, they have to pay. So when they pay it back, it should go into the fund that it came from, right? Well, sometimes that didn't occur. So we figured the best way to do this is get rid of
what is now 9172 and 8173. Process changes. And just have one CDBG fund for everything. So this really doesn't increase anything. It just makes things a lot easier and it streamlines a couple of things. And we already have our two major grants are CDBG and home. Home, we're not touching that. That's got one fund. Everything's doing fine there. It's just the community block grant funds that we do for primarily communities and county and citizens in the Lake County. So, but that's the idea. Get rid of those two, have one, get it all done. When the auditor's office is on board, they're aware of it, so that when they close the books coming up here quick, they know that it's been graded. Doesn't require any two readings, just once. We're in and out and done. That's it.
What do you mean it doesn't require two readings?
I was told this one doesn't require two readings.
No, there's two.
It's an ordinance.
Yeah.
It's an ordinance.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it didn't for some reason, but it was.
Only a resolution.
Yeah, it's a new fund.
Okay.
New fund.
Well, it does require two readings. So if we can get them both next week, that'd be best. That'd be great too, so it gets done, so they can start working on it. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hammond and Gary courthouses. Utilities, appropriation. In the general fund. I wasn't contacted about this. I know rebate sent to, is anybody on the commissioners online? They have nowhere else to transfer from that you can see them.
Well,
And they have general fund. Transfer also to utilities.
Did utilities costs go up just that much, Larry? Do you know?
Yes, they have. We had some hot days in the summer when top of my head, there were Mexico calls those days. Tripled the bills.
No kidding.
Yes.
Well, they're happy days. Share Hyper days, is that what that is?
Jackpot.
Mexico doesn't charge you for the gas, they charge you for the pipeline, transportation charges. And that went up, and so the price of gas.
Okay.
Gradually, we're running out of money. I think that they should have been here sooner instead of December. Didn't catch up. I know we've got a new person over there that came in and just learning the ropes and working with them from time to time. And to watch for those shortages and appropriation, especially in those line items like utilities.
Yeah.
Do something proactive. So, yeah. And we'll talk with them, and there is a room for an additional appropriation. I think we're right at the point where that's it. That's the use of general fund. That will max, just about max it out.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
As for part-time. So I'll deal with the commissioners Thursday. Has to be here on Tuesday. You have something else, Larry?
Fine.
Yeah.
That is caused by 911 pays for the fees, department fees, 911 fees to Cherville. And, And when we get that October 80-20 or 90-10 split to quite a bit of supplement over the years of 911 fees, 500,000-600,000, you never know until they send it out. The state sends it out. Then there's an appropriation for that total in the commissioner's budget. Probably, and I think end up switching it over to the 911 budget because they can't see what the commissioner's budget is, what the appropriation.
So this is their portion of the supplement.
They ran slow. They paid 23 supplement to Cedar Lake and Cherville this year under the 24 budget. So that ran a little dry. They couldn't see that. So that's what this is for. So they'll be probably back next year, but I think they're going to eventually move over to the 911 department to take care of that. So instead of the commissioners, because this creates problems and this could happen again and again if it's not finished. So, again, that's probably something that will go away.
Zero chances that the state legislators will realize that they made a mistake and reverse it. Let's go back to how it worked. That's never gonna happen again, is it?
One comment, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I am going to be working with the state treasurer since he runs 911 in Indiana on figuring out what we can do with some of those telephone fees that we had talked about in the last meeting as we go into the 2026 budget cycle, is looking at our revenues, some things like that from a 911 standpoint. I'm not sure that, based on what the research I've done, it may be an administrative call by the 911 board of the state. I don't know if it's a needed legislation to change the telephone fees. I think that comes through the 911 board of the state, but I got to pinpoint that with Daniel Elliott and see what we need to do to make that happen.
I'm gonna address the transfer of 500,000 from insurance to other professionals. Do you have any?
Should pass the details on that.
Give me that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's usually on. I don't see that on the, I saw it in the building.
Yeah.
Okay,
We usually log on, but I don't
see
see
you Tuesday.
I didn't tell anybody I'd be asking all these questions. I don't know why everybody's not on.
Yeah, I mean.
Set it up.
We can move on with county council agenda. Lake Ridge. Public hearing. Good morning.
Excuse my voice, please. All decided to attack. As you know, of course, you approved the Lake County, or excuse me, the Lake Ridge Fire Protection Territory's budget. This year, they had not budgeted anything in their cumulative fire funds, having planned to not need any money in that fund because their fire equipment was doing fine. Remember last year, we had come back on the ambulance side of things. This was running very smoothly and that's all going great. Unfortunately, the fire engine's engine decided that it didn't want to operate. So they do have a $25,000 repair there, they have money in the fund. They already, as a board, have approved the additional appropriation. They just need this final approval and signature from you all, because it is that approval to spend money in the budget. So they will, going forward, budget some emergency money in that fund to prevent this need. Yeah,
good idea to have a contingency.
yeah, an oversight for this year, so I apologize for that. They will also ask that you suspend the rules and do second reading right away next week, so they can. That's acceptable too.
So this is a pump repair or pump rebuild?
The engine itself, the engine of the fire engine.
And, oh, okay, so, got it. Diesel engine. Thought you said something there, it was a pump.
Any questions? Thank you. Time pay rate ordinance. We'll put this on the agenda.
Madam Chairman, I saw that pop up. It seemed to make more sense for the council. I mean.
Oh, it's for
It's
25.
for 25, but we're modifying it almost every month or two individually. We should have, I would think a better idea would be like a cumulative overview of it and say, hey, each department, what do you think about this proposed ordinance? Do you need movement in your own budgets? In your own part-time budget, your own part-time salary structure, and do it one time instead of us doing it piecemeal. A suggestion might be to get this ordinance out to all the office holders. You take action on it and see if they want to make changes before we do the final. I'll look forward to it and whatever you all want us to do. This is the same rates as right now.
Providing there's not a large increase in financially, because I mean, you know,
Well, they have to support it in their budget too.
right, that would be the thing. Okay.
Yeah, looking through this looks like it's
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I think this is on here for Larry's bid.
Oh, Larry?
No, we already did
Yeah,
that.
I'm sure you did that.
I don't know.
Pretty comprehensive.
You didn't put this on here for that reason.
It's because it's our annual one. I think that's part
Oh,
of it.
this is our, I thought we have to do that again, even though we do the resolution, we have the second reading. Why do we have this on our agenda? Were there changes made after the second reading?
I think we've modified some of the hourly rates in some of the departments.
Okay, that would maybe be the reason.
I have nothing to do with this. I have no idea.
I don't know who requested
Hey,
this.
Tori.
I'll ask Tori.
Yeah.
Ray, you have something to add?
We do this every year. What I do is, make sure for the entity, if necessary, we include all the changes we have made.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking. That's the only reason it would be in, if we make changes. Okay.
And I think we should get these, I think, trying to give the office holders, to tell us what they need, that was a great idea.
But then the cumulative of whatever if they say they need $50 an hour for part-time, hey, this is your budget, so there's
It's gotta be in their
a
budget.
constraint to it. But if you look at them, some of them are $8 an hour, right? $7. Because I think we all know you're not going to hire.
Yeah,
people.
good luck finding someone for seven.
But it's not going to affect Scott's budget. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's my.
That's the important.
My dog charges more than that for watchdog service right now.
Okay, mileage rate, do we have it? No, okay. Holiday schedule,
Madam Chair, I just, if everyone looks at it, I made a suggestion if I take into consideration the options. Next year for 25, Christmas will be on a Thursday. And instead of having the folks come in on that Friday, do we want to make some movement, give them that Friday off? Extend, that way they could have a Thursday, Friday, long extended weekend. We can, Christmas Eve is obviously a Wednesday. We can either give Wednesday or Friday, or take away one holiday or move one holiday if we want to consider it, to give folks a longer weekend with just the holidays falling. But if it's, if I'm barking up the wrong tree, if there's no need for it, then push it as necessary. I just thought it'd be worth at least having some conversation about it.
Does that push the holiday pay up still into that Friday? That still be considered holiday pay?
the holiday.
Yeah, yeah. It's a day off, paid day off. This is all the paid days off, and
But not contractual, like, face COs, 911. No,
Right, there's certain.
nothing critical. Their holidays are listed in the.
Okay,
So.
that's well, okay, something that,
I'm necessarily, I mean, the flip side of that argument is, we still, while we, get to decide, I guess, the holiday days for the employees of the county, we still serve the citizens that Friday afterward, maybe a day that other people are off and they can come in and, get different things done at the county that they need to get done. So, I think we gotta look at that too. I'm not necessarily personally in favor of doing 3 days off at a time when people may come in and try to get some work done in the county.
Yeah, I think 3 days off is maybe too much. I'm okay with Thursday and Friday, but I just wonder if employees would just rather have Christmas Eve off and Christmas Day off.
I don't know that
And
answer,
come
but
back
that's
Friday.
why I brought it up.
I'm willing to add Friday to respect to anybody.
Okay, well, we can decide Tuesday or we can pass it as is and bring it up later on during the year also. Dormant funds, that's Larry, Scott. Usual. Funds not being used, leave them. Questions from anybody on that? Then we have the self-insurance non-reverting liability fund. Resolution. Larry, do you wanna touch on that?
Well, sure. Compact compared to what it was last. With moving appropriation balances at the end of the year. Appropriate.
How did we do this year with our insurance fund? Last year was not great. Is it better this year?
they're still high, but we budgeted accordingly.
And we increase.
Right. With that escalator, something.
Yeah, so there's the,
I mean, when we did the last ordinance in there.
yeah, there's a few. So we're bringing a small amount of money to the employee premium increase. Still likely represents about 5% of the total cost. Overall, we increased the budget this year by enough to cover any anticipated increases. So it's higher than it was last year, which was a 20% swing up. We compensated for that in this year's budget at an appropriate amount. So we're not seeing even a spike into next year's budget.
Lots of people that receiving $100,000 homes that triggers trouble.
Well, our employees are getting older as well, right?
Yes, and the claim, that's a cost.
It's a good issue.
Outrageous.
Not yet.
Okay, and next we have a contracts and agreements. Anyone have any questions? Do you want to go down the line?
Do we need to approve the executive employment agreement again? Did we?
What we,
Last time.
it's a little, Scott and I been talking about this a little bit, what we approved was the request to have the commissioners give us authority to sign the contract. Because they have exclusive. They've now approved that. Now we'll approve it on our end too, and sign off on this.
Does everybody's contract have to follow that process then, like the other ones below that? What's the
No,
difference?
because the ability for the council to hire lawyers is statutory. There's a statute that specifically says that the council can hire their own attorneys. It doesn't say that you can hire financial staff.
That's okay. Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, so we basically already approved This is just double approving.
Well, this is now saying, yeah, we're supporting that, the council's supporting it too. We support it, we're asking for permission.
Right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, they're all, absolutely.
We have cosmetic appointments to garner scholarship. I know myself and Councilor Lindenbalder currently sit on that committee. I know I would like to retain it. Commissions.
Which one, the second one?
Sid Gardner.
Oh, yeah, I just didn't know that.
He's done a great job. He's really put a lot of hours.
None of it. Just went over it.
Northwest Indiana Community Action Corporation. Sits on there now.
It's Pete with Kim Brown as his proxy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Lake County Redevelopment Commission. Do I sit on there? Oh, no, that's a different one.
Yeah, you do.
I do. Those two members.
John Breezick's the
Oh, yeah, John, that's what it's up, yeah. Contractor Licensing Board. Coming from AVAC was something sent in.
It's the letter.
Jesse, in pink.
Property Tax Board of Appeals.
Assuming.
Oh, Carlin.
Yeah. No.
Okay. See, we have to make sure that they retain their level. So, maybe.
I think that Barksdale is the assessor appraiser of those two, I believe. Carly's an attorney. I don't know for sure about the credentials, so I'm going to.
One of them did, is this one of those that did not have levels?
I think we made an exception.
We made an
We
exception.
voted to do an exception.
I'm not sure about what.
Yes, awesome.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Okay, and the library boards, I know David Carpenter sent me a letter for that he didn't want to remain. Anything else? Meeting's adjourned.